One of our nation's most sacred and fundamental rights is the right to vote. And protecting that right is going to require voters to follow reasonable rules when casting their ballots, right? It makes sense. So that's exactly what Georgia is doing with the election reforms that Governor Brian Kemp signed into law last week. After we watched Democrats try to undermine just common sense voting rules in 2020, laws like this are long overdue. But Democrats somehow see this as a threat to their power. So they and their media lackeys are viciously mischaracterizing these measures as, you guessed it, racist.
What Georgia has done in this bill is, in essence, said to a group of folks in Georgia that you don't matter and you don't count.
This is Jim Crow Redux in new clothes.
It's actually almost like a knee on the neck of Georgia voters, just like that officer had his knee on the neck of George Floyd.
Now, this poisonous rhetoric, it's meant to vilify and dehumanize the GOP and conservatives as bigots. It's all done to what? Well, to avoid a conversation about what's actually in Georgia's new election law. Now, why? Because then Americans would realize that the rules in Georgia are both reasonable and fair. In fact, key provisions of law are extremely popular. For instance, the law states that you have to show voter ID to cast an absentee ballot. Past polling by Gallup has found that 80% of Americans, including 77% of non-white voters, support voter ID. And that's why Democrats would rather talk about Jim Crow than about the real world. Every issue, no matter what, is just a replay of the same nonsense we've been seeing from Democrats now for years. How does it work? Okay, step one, get all liberals repeating the same pernicious lies, like this one.
It's sick. Deciding in some states that you cannot bring water to people standing in line, waiting to vote.
They see legislators deciding that it's a crime to give people water.
Imagine arresting someone for handing a bottle of water to an elderly black woman who lived through the last fight for the right to vote.
Total lies. The law only prevents partisan electioneers from using food and beverages to sway voters in line. Nonpartisan poll workers, on the other hand, are allowed to provide food and drinks for general use. And then came another whopper from Biden himself.
What I'm worried about is how un-American this whole initiative is. It's sick. Deciding that you're going to end voting at 5 o'clock when working people are just getting off work.
Oh, that is Joe's bedtime after all. But once again, that's a lie. Now, don't take it from me. Take it from the Washington Post fact checker. Not a single expert we consulted who studied the law understood why Biden made this claim, as this was the section of the law that expanded early voting for many Georgians. But the left does not care, because they've already moved on to amplifying the original lie through their pop culture and pro-sports echo chamber. And of course, just as with the BLM rampages last summer, Wall Street always supports the hard left on these issues. While not explicitly mentioning Georgia, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon issued this Weasley statement today saying, "We regularly encourage our employees to exercise their fundamental right to vote, and we stand against any efforts that may prevent them from being able to do so." Yeah, I'm going to take my moral cues from a guy whose firm is cashing in on slave labor in China. Right, Jamie? But even sleazier is this man, Hillary donor Mark Benioff, who runs the company Salesforce. His company tweeted that the Georgia law is unnecessarily limiting provisional ballots, limiting trustworthy, safe, and equal access to voting. False, false, and yes, false. But consider the source. They oppose voter ID requirements for voting, but are one of the firms actually working on future vaccine passports. That's medical IDs that will in the future give you your freedom back, that's what they're saying, to travel and attend large events. So these people are total frauds. And once you scratch the surface, They have zero credibility. The same as I mentioned earlier with the woke sports type, especially the woke sports media, with one CNN sports contributor suggesting another way to bully Georgia. We can start by stripping Atlanta of Major League Baseball's All-Star Game, which is set to take place in the city in July. And by the way, the same players who link arms to kneel for the national anthem are apparently also open to this idea. Players are very much aware of the new laws, MLB Players Association Director Tony Clark recently told the Boston Globe. After its passage, players talked about relocating the All-Star Game, he said. By the way, as they threaten Georgia's bottom line, we all have to remember that all this woke activism is terrible for their bottom line. A new poll found that 1/3 of viewers are watching less sports because of social justice shenanigans. And this is just the beginning of the economic pain they're going to feel if they join the mob that's hoping to rig future elections. Because I sense this, that Americans want more sports and less politics. But the far-left goon squads are betting that weak-kneed corporate boards, they're going to collapse under pressure.
Across the internet, growing calls to boycott Delta Airlines, Coca-Cola, and Home Depot, all Georgia-based giants.
The message that I want them to take away from this is that voter suppression is bad for business. It's bad for your bottom line.
It's time to change this storyline. So how about this? Any business that bows down to boycotters better be prepared to run into the buzzsaw of tens of millions of patriotic Americans who will vote as well with their wallets. I'm talking moms and dads who are sick of being lectured to by spoiled brat activists who produce zero that is useful to America. And I know a lot of young professionals who may not be all that vocal, but who recoil at the notion that somehow Hollywood knows best about how to run elections. What we're seeing in Georgia is just the latest of the left's broader campaign of intimidation and distortion. But it's perhaps the most dangerous to our nation's future. So now's the time for all Americans concerned about secure and meaningful elections to start getting involved and make it clear that any business or organization that helps the Democrats in this rigging process, that they understand the meaning of this new rallying cry that I don't know who came up with, but it sounds good. Get woke and go broke. And Georgia can't do this alone, of course. Other GOP governors, legislatures, they all need to stand up and push for fair election laws. Laws that preserve our fundamental right of all Americans to vote and have their votes counted by trustworthy and nonpartisan officials. We need a coalition of politicians and activists who will not only stand up to big business and the media, but also to Congress and the White House. Because where Biden's concerned, whatever Stacey Abrams wants, Stacey Abrams is going to get. We know that. So here's the bottom line. The Democrats believe that America is a racist, evil nation that's destroying the planet. They intend to punish us. They intend to lower our standard of living. Gas prices, you see where they are today? Taxes, soon going to follow, going up. Lockdowns and masks are apparently here to stay. But for now, we can still cast them out of office by casting our vote. So Democrats, they have to break our electoral system. But we have to stop them. We didn't pick this fight. We would have been happy to have the same election laws that had been in place for decades. But the left knows that it can't win under those rules, so they've started a revolution to destroy them. We have to defeat them now or prepare ourselves to live under their control for decades to come. And that's the angle.